Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to thank my honourable colleague for his presentation. And my question is based on truly why we're dealing with this issue at this stage. As we know, we're dealing with the most severe economic crisis since the Great Depression. We have a GDP that's gone from first to last in the G8. We've lost approximately 500,000 full-time jobs. EI is in crisis. We have this potential pandemic on the horizon with the vaccination process, which is lagging behind other Western countries. So my question is to my honourable colleague, can you please explain exactly what they're trying to correct at this stage and what percentage of sentences actually are conditional, and what kind of serious problem this actually is or is not, and why we're dealing with this now rather than this economic crisis?
The honourable member for Boise-Jure.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, my colleague from Brampton West, who himself was a distinguished lawyer before his election to this House, knows a great deal about criminal justice issues, about justice policy, and his voice in our caucus and in Parliament is always one that's listened to attentively when it comes to issues involving justice and public safety. And, Mr. Speaker, that's why my colleague from Brampton West, I think, identifies a concern we have. The government last week had a very, very bad week where they were found, for example, to be presenting at infrastructure announcements Government of Canada checks with the Conservative logo on it, fake signatures from members of Parliament pretending that somehow they signed checks that hand out public funds to needed infrastructure programs. We've seen allegations of huge partisan interference in the allocation of programs as important as access to disability funding, Mr. Speaker. And I think that the reason the government decided this week to make such an emphasis on justice issues is precisely, as my colleague from Brampton West alluded to change the channel on their failure to deal effectively with serious economic concerns, to address issues of unemployment. The people in my riding don't understand why you can leave many justice bills on the order paper in this House for over 100 days, introduce them at the end of the session in June, leave them on the order paper, and then at the last minute simply recycle a whole bunch of old announcements, call a news conference at a local hotel, and for the fourth time announce that we intend to introduce a bill on white-collar crime. Mr. Speaker, much of this is a gimmick from the government to mask their failure on much more important matters as well.